All right, so this is our Eli presentation. It's called Respect the Locals, and we will be revamping Isla Vista's native landscapes. This project is by Jamie Liu, Melinda Seymour, and Hunter Maher.
Take a look at these photos of Isla Vista's parks and open spaces. What do you see? There's lots of dry, patchy grass and invasive ice plant along the roadsides. This is degraded land that has lost most of its ecological character. Isla Vista sits on valuable land that once supported biodiverse, rich coastal scrub and native plant communities. But decades of development and the spread of non-native species have largely replaced that. This is the problem we set out to address in our project.
The social justice component of this project is incredibly important because it represents the fact that, like humans, plants have been colonized too. This desolate landscape is just evidence of that and evidence of the consequences of introducing invasive and non-native species into an ecosystem that was once thriving. The bottom right photo here shows invasive ice plant, which demolishes the ecological community that exists within the soil, and it also damages microbes in the soil as well. All three of these photos show how destitute the landscape is after plants who don't belong there end up growing.
But here is what's possible. California buckwheat, hummingbird sage, California bush sunflower, and California poppies aren't just beautiful plants. They are drought tolerant, they support local pollinators and wildlife, and they belong here. Native gardens like the one pictured can transform an urban space like Isla Vista into a thriving, low maintenance ecosystem. And this is what we wanted to bring to Isla Vista with our project.
So we created our mountaintop goal, and our goal was to create an Isla Vista with an abundance of native plants and ensure that IB residents and the wider UCSB community understood the importance, richness, and history of these species in a larger effort to decolonize urban and suburban landscapes in Santa Barbara. But this was a pretty ambitious goal just for one school year, so instead, we created our SMART goal, which was to have 2 to 3 stewardship workshops in partnership with Ivy Recs and Parks District by the end of this 2025 to 2026 school year. And through these workshops, we wanted to educate Ivy residents about how native plants can be beneficial for an ecosystem, and we wanted to give them hands-on experience in planting. So they would help us transplant native seedlings into the ground in different parks around Isla Vista. And our goal was to plant over 10 native plant species throughout Isla Vista that were locally adapted to this area, and to plant 25 plants of each species.
We could not have done this alone. The two key partners we worked with for our project were the Isla Vista Recreation and Parks District and UCSB's Cheadle Center for Biological Diversity and Ecological Restoration. We worked closely with Layla Dagan, the stewardship coordinator at IVRPD, and their district has an active goal of reaching 30% native plant coverage throughout Isla Vista, and they are currently looking for more ways to integrate native species into their current parks. For our project, we sourced all of the plants from Wayne Chapman, the greenhouse manager at the Cheadle Center. And this means that every plant we put in the ground was locally adapted to the Isla Vista climate and watershed.
Through this project, we were able to accomplish two stewardship events with Ivy Rec and Parks District. One was in the main park in Isla Vista called Anisca Oyo Park, and the other was by the shoreline at Pelican Park at the front on Del Playa. Both of these parks were able to, we were able to, in both of these parks, remove many of the weeds and find places to plant native plants that was accessible for irrigation systems. We planted 9 different species of native plants, all of which came from the greenhouse and incorporated the specific Isla Vista genes. And we planted a total of 78 plants into the ground. We couldn't have done this without the work of over 30 volunteers between both events, some overlapping and some showing for one. All of these volunteers, including some children from Isla Vista Elementary, were able to help us put these plants into the ground in a way that ensured they would be watered properly and they were exposed to the proper amount of sunlight. We learned a lot through this project, especially how to coordinate with Ivy Rec and Parks District because their goals were similar to ours. Their 30% goal was something that echoed our desire to see more native plants in Isla Vista. And through their resources, through our budget and our fundraising efforts, we were able to create a joint event that accomplished the goals of both us and Ivy Rec and Parks. We learned how to put on events, how to feed our volunteers, how to accomplish large amounts of weeding using tools borrowed from Ivy Rec and Parks and from Wayne Chapman. We learned how to teach gardening methods, specifically why native plants are so important to the ecological community of Isla Vista. We were able to teach not only how to garden plants in general, especially outdoor plants, but specifically how native plants are put into the ground. We taught volunteers that um, being able to understand how much sunlight and how much water a certain plant needs, um, and how to plant on a slope versus how to plant into a garden bed, all required certain different tactics. The other thing was we needed support from the public. We needed to educate the public about why we were implementing native plant landscaping in Isla Vista. This meant that passerby who were wondering what we were doing weren't just told that we were gardening, but they were told that we were implementing native plant landscaping that was specific to the area and that would help replenish the soil, replenish the nitrogen-fixing microbes in the soil, and would allow these plants to thrive for a great amount of time. Doing so appealed to the aesthetic interests of Isla Vista as well. We contributed to making the parks appear more lively, attracting more pollinators, attracting more passerby, and ensuring that people were able to enjoy the parks that we all love in Isla Vista. Our future goals, as we've finished this project, have been to ensure that we continue visiting these different sites to ensure that the plants are properly getting watered, they are not being exposed to pests such as gophers, and that we are adequately allowing them to grow in their proper places. And we will ensure that we will adjust accordingly if needed. Thank you.